It is nearly 23 years to the day that a teenager who had just graduated from Highland High School was shot to death in her car downtown. The case made headlines here and it got national attention, but despite the publicity, it has never been solved. And police say if they don't get new information, it never will be. News 13's Nancy Laughlin is live in the Newsplex. Nancy?
Well, Dick, it was Sunday night, 1989. Caitlin Arquette was driving by herself on Lomas when someone pulled up alongside her and shot her twice in the head.
She was a pretty popular girl, an 18-year-old with dreams of one day becoming a doctor. But on a July night 23 years ago, those dreams died when someone murdered Caitlin Arquette.
We've been working for so many years just to get the answer to why our daughter died.
July 16, 1989, Caitlin had just had dinner at a friend's home. Police say she was driving east on Lomas when someone chased her, shot her, and left her for dead.
I wake up every night to the sound of gunshots and to the sound of my daughter calling, "Mother, Mother, help!" And I'm not there.
Lois Duncan and her family have since moved away, but their hope of one day finding Caitlin's killer is still very much alive.
It was a tough case. There wasn't a lot of information to go on. I was actually one of the original officers that went onto that case, and I, again, was very familiar with it, and it was a difficult case. There wasn't a lot of initial information.
At one point, police arrested a suspect and held him in custody for 15 months, but eventually let him go for lack of evidence. Some suspected Caitlin's boyfriend, claiming he had criminal ties. He was never charged. Caitlin's mother has many theories about what happened. She's even written a book about it called Who Killed My Daughter? APD says it would take new leads to find the answer.
We go back and review the evidence or the information we have, interview information or whatever, and take that information and compare it to technologies, to anything that may be coming in from anybody, and then we try to work it from there as well.
The Arquette family has vowed to never give up, to one day solve who killed Caitlin, their daughter, their little girl.
It has been so long, and not one of us has been able to go past it because it's never been solved.
Lois Duncan says her daughter did leave a legacy. She says Kate was an organ donor. Her heart and her lungs were given to a Santa Fe man. Back to you.
All right, Nancy, there is no statute of limitations on this case. APD will continue to follow every credible lead that it gets.
The state says she's a danger and should be locked up. Her long record just keeps getting longer. Judges keep giving her chance after chance. She keeps committing crime after crime. On tonight's special assignment, News 13's Kim Holland reports a story that's driving police, prosecutors, and probation officers nuts.
Landis Litz.
It's a name the court is very familiar with. 26-year-old Landis Litz has seen the inside of jail cells and courtrooms too many times to count. But her cases stand out for another reason.
This is one of the extreme cases.
In the last 8 years, Litz has been arrested at least 10 times, and many more before that as a juvenile.
We've been chasing her tail for a long time.
She's been cuffed for crimes like criminal trespassing, property damage, stealing a car. Litz has also been picked up for aggravated battery, assault, and twice for DWI.
She definitely needs help, and we need to get her attention, or she's going to be coming in on more and more serious charges.
But here's the problem. Landis Litz is in a revolving door of justice. For almost every crime, judges give her probation. And almost every time, she violates probation.
For example, in 2007, Litz was charged with taking a vehicle, aggravated battery with a deadly weapon, and aggravated DWI. In 2009, a judge sentenced her to community custody on an ankle monitor, but she cut off the ankle bracelet and ran. When she was caught, she spent 2 months in jail and was back on probation.
She has violated every condition of the court and of probation, and she's a danger to the community at this point.
So back on probation, police say she stole a backpack and a phone from a person. Then she tried to run from an officer and later fought to get out of her handcuffs. Litz violated probation 4 times in the last 2.5 years.
I gave her 90 days straight time, and once she was out, she disappeared and never went back to probation.
We caught her in court for her latest probation violation.
You're really spending a lot of time on Landis Litz.
We've spent a lot of time on Landis Litz.
And that's taxpayer money.
At least 17 judges have dealt with Litz over the years. So why do they keep putting her back on probation?
The DA's office has recommended, to my information, every time that she get jail time at the Department of Corrections.
So why isn't she getting more jail time?
Well, because judges have discretion as to what's appropriate or what isn't.
Most of her crimes are not felonies, and the law limits how much time in jail judges can give Litz. In fact, the DA says she's served more time in jail waiting to go to court than judges would have probably sentenced her to. In less than 2 years, she's spent about 16 months behind bars. In the meantime, she's costing taxpayers a lot of money because officers have to keep chasing her down, hauling her to court, and taking her to jail. Kim Holland, KRQE News 13.
Landis Litz is due back in court later this month when the state and probation officers will recommend at least a year behind bars for breaking probation. It's up to a judge whether that will happen. We will be there.
With interest.
Yes. And with interest, we start talking leftovers tonight. Let's take a look. All right, so here are the leftovers. They're on the plate, right? This post-Thanksgiving, we'll say, even though that's a pork chop, let's just act like it's a piece of turkey. And it's one of these deals where there's only so many leftovers. And, everybody starts to work the leftover plate, slide a little more off. That's a creepy hand, I realize that. But we're still pulling the food off here. And eventually there's less and less leftovers before the last person just gets the plate all
This is really
together.
freaky.
Now, the point in all this is there's only so much moisture now, and we're going to start using it up. And over the next couple of days, there's going to be less and less in the way of leftovers for us to make storms out of. So overall, the storm number is going to start to go down, just like the leftovers the day after Thanksgiving. Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay. Dick is looking very, very dubious over this whole situation. All right, here's a look at the storms right now. Around Sandoval County, we've got some storms as we get back into areas, especially of McKinley County, picking up some showers, and these storms are just sliding their way down to the south. And here in the metro area, yeah, we could get a little bit wet here with a shower later on tonight. As we head into tomorrow, crop of storms leans out even more. 75 degrees in the metro. East-southeast winds right now at 14 miles an hour. Northern half of the state, temperatures in the 60s and 70s. Down to the south, 60s and 70s as well. Still a very nice evening out there in many areas. But our big problem is high pressure, and it is sitting to our northwest. Not a great position for the high anyway, but it's going to continue to close in on the state over the next couple of days. That's going to reduce the overall number of storms, but it will increase the heat as we push that air down in the atmosphere and dry it out a little bit. So as we head toward the weekend, temperatures will continue to rise. We're going to be back well into the 90s here in the metro, almost at 100 down to the south, and close to 90 up to the northeast as well. So the trend is really for much warmer temps across the area here over the next couple of days as our high is anchored right here, and it will continue to slide in our direction. So is there any hope that the high is going to shift and allow the moisture back in here? There is some hope for that. As far as the time frame goes, obviously it's not going to be this weekend with the high closer to us, but it looks like into next week, some models are showing the high shifting a bit, and that could well open the door again into the beginning and middle part of next week. And we can handle a few days of recycling moisture and some quiet weather. What we want to try to avoid here is the long-term issues of, say, 2 to 3 weeks at a time where we could miss out on moisture. That would really hurt us. That we really can't afford. 81 Pagosa Springs, 83 in Durango for tomorrow, 86 in Cortez. Spot storms possible. Little better shot Friday into Saturday. 85 in Grants, 91 in Farmington, and 88 out in Gallup. Partly cloudy, a few spot storms possible here, but notice temperatures all the way up in the mid-90s by Friday and Saturday with that high overhead. 83 in Deming, 82 in TRC tomorrow, 88 in Glenwood with scattered afternoon thunderstorms. Meanwhile, over to the southeast, temperatures here anywhere from the 60s in Cloudcroft all the way up into the 80s around Roswell and Carlsbad. Roswell going to be into the mid-90s by the weekend. Northeast, partly cloudy, a spot rain shower possible for tomorrow. Same deal into Thursday. Temperatures all the way into the mid-80s by Friday into Saturday. Northern mountains, best chance to get scattered storms will be here. Usually at this kind of scenario where we are recycling the moisture, the mountains tend to form those storms most efficiently. 87 into Harris tomorrow, 85 Cedar Crest, same deal in Sandia Park with a chance of quick shower, and sun and clouds with an isolated storm possible here in the metro. And again, we could get a little wet later on this evening. Temperatures right around 90 Thursday into Friday, and in possibly the mid-90s by the weekend.
That leftover stuff did one thing.
Got you hungry?
Jess and I were talking about food.
Food the whole time.
Good stuff.
Sports is next.